Hello and welcome to Outlook on Air. This podcast is designed to keep you connected with all things Outlook, with special emphasis on our enrichment program and its many activities and services. On this podcast, we'll hear from Outlook associates, donors to our many programs, clients of our services, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this edition of Outlook on Air. And a very warm welcome once again from the Palatial Podcast Studio here at Outlook Enrichment. I'm your host, Dennis Nelson. Another jam-packed podcast headed your way. Try to say that 3 times fast. Lots of good things coming up, though. We're going to meet 2 members of our adaptive sports team today, and I think you'll find that very, very exciting. And then we will also introduce another one of our fine associates from our converting floor. They're going to stop by and talk to you as well. So should be a fun-filled podcast. Looking forward to it. And let's get to our first interview with our adaptive sports team here. So why don't you both take a second and introduce yourselves and tell us what you do at both UNO and with adaptive sports.
My name is Mike Messerole. I'm a professor and the assistant director for the School of Health and Kinesiology at UNO. I also am the coordinator of the physical education teacher preparation program. So I help train physical education teachers and coaches. And as part of that program, we are very inclusive so that our students have a good understanding of how to modify activities to include all ability levels.
And my name's Glen Wragge. I am an instructor at UNO. This is my 9th year there. I teach mostly future PE teachers, trying to provide programs where they learn to plan for all kids with all abilities. Before I was at UNO, I was the adaptive PE instructor for Millard Public Schools, and I was in that position for about 25 years. And I worked with all our PE teachers, including kids with different abilities, into their physical education classes and also into the community for health and recreation activities.
And just to clarify for our listeners, are you both fully sighted or visually impaired in any way? Or
fully sighted, but not as good as it used to be, I would say. Also,
I'm fully sighted as well. I did have a retina repair about 2 years ago. So I went through a time when I lost most of my sight in one eye, but that sight is back after some cataract surgery, and retina surgery.
Well, that's certainly good news.
Yes, it is.
How did you both get involved in adaptive sports?
Great question.
yeah.
I will say my start in adaptive sports probably started back in my undergraduate program where I got involved with working with individuals with disability in sports settings. But I would say the past 25, 30 years, it started with Special Olympics, coaching Special Olympic teams. I currently coach a Special Olympic swim team, been doing that for 24 years. And then also just with my profession of training future PE teachers is getting them to understand how to make modifications to include all ability levels, which kind of led to some other areas. So I've been a wheelchair basketball official, coached a Special Olympic powerlifting team, a bocce team, and then with Outlook, I don't know, that was 10 years ago?
Started with Camp Abilities,
Yeah.
planning those programs, and then that kind of changed over to just working with Outlook. And not Capabilities.
So Capabilities is what first brought you to Outlook Enrichment's recreation program. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Yes.
The way I got involved was I was a classroom teacher of students with severe and profound disabilities. At that time, I was working for Westside Community Schools, and they allowed us to help pay for our master's degree. So I went back to school and got my master's in physical education with specialization in adaptive PE. And then the adaptive PE job came open in Millard, and I was their full-time adaptive PE teacher there. And that's when I got fully integrated into working with kids and planning for activities there. And then from that job, Camp Abilities reached out and we started planning their summer camp for them. And we did that for a number of years, as long as that camp was going. And then from Camp Abilities, then we came to Outlook.
So what has it been like working with blind and visually impaired students or participants, I guess I should say?
For me, when I was the adaptive PE teacher in Millard, I always felt like integrating kids with visual impairments into the physical education programs was probably my most challenging group. I always felt like many of the kids were scared to go to PE class, and I didn't blame them. And I noticed the real difference was when we did Camp Abilities, and I saw their personalities come out at Camp Abilities when they knew all the activities were going to be modified and also safe for them. And their participation level went up 100% from what they were doing in their physical education classes. So I really felt like I struggled including kids with visual impairments into physical education to the point to where they would feel safe and successful. And it's still a challenging group, I think. From experience, many of the families got their kids out of physical education when they got in their upper grades, and they got their doctors a note that excused them from PE so they didn't have to participate. I always felt that was kind of a failure on our end, that they didn't feel like they were able to safely participate. So it's something that always bothered me, and maybe I feel like trying to make amends a little bit by helping out here at Outlook and knowing the capabilities of all the participants. I mean, they impress me with every activity that we do. So that's been very fulfilling.
I'd say for me, it's making modifications is nothing new based on ability level. I think it was to make modifications that made the most sense to the individuals that we were working with. I will say, kind of like Glenn is, initially, I was probably very, what's the word I'm looking for? Soft isn't the right word, but I wasn't challenging them enough. And what ended up happening is they were asking to be challenged more. I want to do this. I want to try this. And so those individuals, especially the group in Camp Abilities, really, I would say, pushed me to think bigger, to challenge more. And I'm continually amazed at the personalities that come out and the confidence that's gained by those individuals when they're allowed to try something that they've never been able to try before because of concerns for safety or not have access to them. So they constantly challenge me, and I like that challenge, to be able to make those modifications and figure out, hey, they want to do this activity. How can we make it happen?
Yeah.
So what surprised both of you most when you first got involved with Outlook's enrichment events?
We've been doing this so long now that
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back to what was the biggest. Actually, nothing surprises me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's kind of like, what I would say is what I get the most enjoyment out of is watching their confidence grow in the activity as they get to do it. And so I guess I don't really have many surprises anymore, Glenn. How about you?
No, not anymore. Initially, I would say I was maybe surprised by the willingness and the courage that the kids or the participants demonstrated when they were doing something that was new for them, but they were more than eager to try it. And they were very good examples of willing to try, even though it maybe wasn't something that they were comfortable doing, but they were willing to try. And as long as they were willing to try, I was willing to try to help them figure it out. And figuring it out with them has been probably the most rewarding part of doing the activities.
Can you share a favorite memory or moment from an Outlook activity?
The second or third year we did camp abilities, we had an individual come in and brought his mom made sure that he had a life jacket for when we did swimming. And she was scared to death of the water. And I think he was a bit embarrassed that he had the life jacket on. And we learned real quickly that he could swim.
Yeah.
And so the joy that he showed, and then all of a sudden he's going down the water slide. I think he's jumping off the diving board, swimming in the deep end. That was a really defining moment for me that, man, we're really doing some right stuff, some good stuff here.
Yeah, when he hollered, I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it.
Yeah, and then taking video and showing Mom the video when she came, and her in tears going, I didn't know he could do it. I didn't know he could do it.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that's got to be a good feeling for sure.
I would say one other thing I would say, and I think Glenn, you'll agree with this, is the relationships that we've gained throughout the last how many ever years we've been doing this, and watching those kids in our first camp abilities grow and mature, become young adults, having success in college.
That's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I know one of the more shocking things that I was impressed with was when we did the high ropes courses out there at Boys Town the first time, and it was like, there's no way I'm going up there. But, man, the participants went right up there, and they just tackled it with ease. I mean, you could tell some of the kids were really afraid, but they weren't giving up. And they just hung in there and hung in there. Getting to the cables to walk on was hard enough, let alone once you get up there that you're 30 feet above the ground. And they were just as brave as, and again, as impressive as anybody I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
That was.
Why do you think inclusive recreation is important?
It's important for everybody. I mean, for me, it just demonstrates to the kids with different abilities that they belong, that they can participate right along with everyone else. They get the same satisfaction out of being on a team, same satisfaction of collaborating, working with others, developing friendships, social skills. And it goes both ways. I mean, it's not just for the kids with different abilities. It's for the able-bodied population too, to say, wow, they can do this just as well as I can. It just may need to look a little bit differently. So I just don't think there are any negatives about including kids in all activities.
I would agree with that as well. There's a video by ex-ambassadors, and in the video there's a quote that said, it's not about enjoying it more or less, it's about enjoying it differently. And so Glenn's and my job is to help them figure out how they can enjoy it differently. And so I think Glenn kind of talked about the social aspect of being physically active, but there's also that physical aspect of being physically active. Yeah. And being healthy. And so I think it's really important that if the more inclusive programs are, whether they be in the YMCA, gymnasiums, fitness centers, the more opportunities individuals who have vision issues, they'll have those opportunities to be able to participate.
What do adaptive sports teach us about teamwork?
I'd say the same thing any sports teaches anybody about teamwork. It's about working together as a group. It's about overcoming obstacles, whether it be overcoming a loss or overcoming whatever the challenge is as a group. learning to win together, learning to handle losing together, and then all of those social behaviors of teamwork and cooperation.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's the same as any team sport. All the benefits that everybody gets from participating in team sports, it's no different in adaptive sports.
How do you adapt sports for those who are with vision loss, and what does that process look like?
Depends on the activity. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's helped that there are some Paralympic sports now that are specifically modified for people with vision impairments. Those I think are modified so well that it doesn't matter if you're visually impaired or not. Everybody plays on the same playing field. To me, the more challenging ones are like traditional sports like basketball. Mm-hmm. That's a hard one to modify, and to include. And if you only have one person who's has a visual impairment, to try to modify it so that they can participate in an able-bodied game, those are challenging modifications, and it's very individualized. What some kids what their skill level is at is completely different than the next kid. So each participant needs to get it figured out about what works best for them. So talking with the students or the participants and figuring out what they can do and what's more difficult for them to do, and then figuring out from there what kind of support they need to be able to participate. It's very individualized.
Here's a loaded question for you. How has your work with Outlook and visually impaired athletes impacted you personally?
I would say for me, it's had a profound impact.
Mm-hmm.
In that it's allowed me or made me look at different ways of doing things. And I've been working with students of all ages with disabilities, so adults and kids, for years. And I think it's challenged me to come up with modifications, but it's also given me a lot of satisfaction when those modifications we come up with work.
Yeah.
Or we, if it doesn't work, we figure out a different way to do it, and then that works.
Yeah. I would say just personally, I probably get more from participating in the activities than maybe the person I'm helping. So I always come away feeling good after any activity that we do. No matter how many participants show up, I come away feeling better. I mean, I've kind of made it more of a priority in my life that if there's an activity coming up, I try to make sure that I'm able to attend. So it's probably shifted my priority list a little bit by being involved with Outlook.
Has this experience changed the way you think about accessibility or inclusion in sports?
I don't know if it's changed my way of thinking about that, but where it has changed the way I think about my teaching. The courses that I teach, I look more at, is all my material accessible, regardless of someone's ability? Are my instructions clear for those? Are my demonstrations clear? I think it's really carried over into my teaching of my courses.
I would say that's true for me also. I know with the courses I teach, it's not necessarily geared as an adaptive class for the most part. It's a general class for all students, but I know I include a lot more scenarios to where, okay, so if we have a student who's using a wheelchair in this activity, how are we going to make sure that they're participating and including the activities? And so it's something that is just part of the way I think now, that I think all the activities that I teach, all the classes that I teach, that's always just a part of it now. It's always part of making sure all kids can participate.
What do you think the broader sports world could learn from inclusive sports programs?
To me, that it's a bigger question than that. It's not just the sports world. It's just the world in general.
Sure.
That people they just want a chance to participate. They want a chance to work at a job. Mm-hmm. And I think seeing these activities and seeing people accomplish them, reaching their goals, is just like everybody else. But I think a lot of times society in general just doesn't give people that maybe look a little different, act a little different. They just don't give them the opportunity. And I think doing the activities demonstrates that, hey, this person can do it just as well as anybody else. They just do it differently. They deserve a chance. All they want is a chance to have an opportunity to either work or participate or be included. Nothing more, nothing less, just a chance.
Completely agree with Glenn. Couldn't have said it better myself.
What's your favorite adaptive sport to play or teach?
My favorite one is archery.
Ah.
I like the way that we can modify archery so it's available to pretty much anybody, no matter your impairment or your disability. I really enjoy teaching that to the participants.
For me, it's goalball.
Goalball is a lot of fun.
I enjoy playing it, and I really enjoyed coaching it.
Yeah. Goalball is fun.
With both the teen group and the adult group, that was so much fun and so competitive and painful at times because that ball is hard.
I don't think people realize how brutal that sport is. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to have some courage to play that sport, and the participants were all for it.
That's awesome. Who do you think, speaking of competitive, who do you think's more competitive, you or the Outlook participants?
I think the participants are probably more competitive than I am during the activities anyway, because I'm not looking to compete against them. I just want them to be able to do the best that they can. And so I know they get competitive with each other pretty quickly. And so I would say during our activities, I would say the Outlook participants are probably more competitive than I am. Although personally, I am a competitive person.
I would say for me, it's pretty even. When I was coaching goalball, it was when we were in those tournaments, especially with the teen group.
Yeah,
we were all competitive.
Yeah.
It was fun to see, and to be a part of. So I do think it depends on the activity, and also depends on, are we playing or are we coaching, right?
Right.
So long story short, we're all competitive.
Yeah. The goalball guys, they were super competitive, and so I got to coach the adults, and they were competitive. And I was just as upset when we'd lose as they would be. So, yeah, I wanted to win just as badly as they did during those activities, too.
I would also say for golf, though, because we both work with the golf group, I think we're equally competitive with the golf. When we play in the Outlook Scramble, I would say that we're all we're trying to make each other look good.
Yeah. And I like the way it's set up as a team sport in golf, and so everybody is helping everybody, and everybody's cheering for everybody. You're not necessarily competing against the people in your group, but you're competing against the other groups, and I like that format.
If you could create a new adaptive sport, what would it be?
there are so many out there now. I mean, they got rock climb, adaptive rock climbing. I mean,
A sport.
Yeah, new. If you could create something new.
I'd have to think about that one for a while.
Yeah, I would too. I would too.
Because most of the sports that come to mind, we've adapted already.
Yeah.
Sport wise, yeah. So I was trying to think of kind of like outside sports and just skills that maybe a lot of people don't get to try.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know the 1 year we got to experiment with go-karts. The kids loved it, but it scared the bejesus out of me watching them. And so,
You might want to explain a little bit about we let them drive.
well, we had guides with them
Yeah.
and stuff.
Sure.
And so no one was driving independently, but they were in control of the steering wheel and the gas. And so there was some coaching going along with it.
I can imagine.
But I think the experience that the kids got, that they got to even try it, was like, wow, this is really cool. I know Isaac has talked. The last time I brought my class here for their tour, he talked how he is really excited about the automated cars coming up. So transportation wouldn't be such a pain in the rear end that they would that would definitely make them much more accessible.
I think a lot of us around here share that.
Yeah, that will be awesome if that really gets figured out.
Yeah, I think we'd all like that.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's never tried adaptive sports or thinks it's not for them?
I would say my message to parents is let your child try.
Mm-hmm.
Especially coming through the Outlook Enrichment. Everything we do, we vet, we make sure that it's safe, and we want participants trying. We want to bring more people in that have low or no vision to try things that they've never tried before. And part of that is parents putting some trust in what we do and maybe taking a little bit of a risk and allowing their child to participate in something that they have not done before and may not even have thought about trying to do. For adults out there who, whether they have vision or not, I encourage you to try it. It is a blast. It is an absolute blast, and it doesn't matter if it's a wheelchair sport or a visually impaired sport or a para sport. I mean, it's a new challenge, just like learning any new skill. But
Yeah, I had a number of experiences where when I was the adaptive PE teacher, if I could get a student to participate in a sport that was adapted or modified for them. My specific example that occurred a lot were students who used wheelchairs. A lot of times they were maybe the only student in the school that was using a wheelchair, and so they, I think, felt very isolated. And if I could get them to go to just one wheelchair basketball practice, they would come back totally different kids, because all of a sudden there were like 50 kids there in wheelchairs, and they were all playing at the same level. And it was like I found a group that I fit in, that understands me. And I think getting kids to try to do the adaptive sports, they also find a peer group that understands them, that they don't have to explain anything to, that they can joke with and understand their sense of humor. So just trying one time, I think, can make a world of difference in a kid's life.
I think you just answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Why should more people get involved in programs like this? And I think you pretty well covered that. If you think otherwise, you can certainly answer it.
Yeah.
well, I think the one thing that I would add to what Glenn said was there's a social aspect to this too. When you're able to do something with a group, and you alluded to this, Glenn, that has similar life experiences maybe. Like Glenn said, you might be the only one in your school that has low or no vision, and you come to this and you can start talking the talk. You can express your frustrations, and you got people there that are going, yeah, I went through the same thing when I was in school. Yeah. I think that's huge. And then I think the other piece is we need to get individuals out of their comfort zone for growth. And I think whether they're a teenager or they're an adult, trying something new can promote growth. Well, personal growth is what I'm talking about. And so I do think that plays a big part. Even if they decide it's not what I want to do, I don't want to do this again, but maybe I'll try something different. At least they tried something once and got out of their comfort zone.
Yep. I agree 100% there. I know I had a guest speaker once. She was taking some of the technology classes here, and she was her adult profession, she was a nurse, and she was losing her sight. And so some of her skills that she needed to be able to do were becoming difficult for her. Mm-hmm. And so she was looking at what's my life going to be like. And I think finding her peer group here then that was changing, and that she could talk to other people that had gone through similar experiences really helped her grow in a new way, and helped her deal with the situation she was in, where she was going to lose her sight eventually completely, but she had backup and she had people that understood that, and she found a whole new career. I know she did, and brought out a whole different aspect of her personality that she really had put on the back burner for years and years and years, but now she's doing very well.
That's awesome. That's great. Any final message that either of you would like to share with our listeners?
I would say that if any of this conversation resonates with anybody who's listening to this, and you're not currently involved with Outlook Enrichment, I encourage you to get involved with Outlook Enrichment, whether it be as a volunteer, whether it be as a participant. There's just so many good things that are going on, and the more individuals we have willing to volunteer, the more opportunities we can provide to our youth and adults.
Yep. Yeah, I would say if you're a participant or a volunteer, either one, you will get way more out of it, out of participating in the activities, than you feel like you're putting into it. It is a great community. I know Outlook in general is an amazing business, and the enrichment program is just part of that. And so I think just getting involved, you will get way more out of it than you feel like you're putting into it.
So, Glenn, could you agree with this? We've had hundreds of volunteers over the years, right?
Right.
Have you ever had one say, man, I regret doing that?
No.
Never. Never. They're all like, when's the next activity?
Sure.
What can I do next? Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Getting them to come to the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just like anything new is scary, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. But again, I think everybody comes away from it feeling way better coming out of it. That was really cool. That was a lot of fun.
Well, working with both of you, just the two of you, are certainly great examples and people who've definitely gotten into it. So if they're wondering what they're getting into, they can certainly talk to either of you, and I think come out just fine. So
Thank you.
Yeah, want to thank you both for coming today. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Same here. Happy to be here.
Outlook on air. Outlook on air.
Why don't you take a second and introduce yourself and tell us your role here at Outlook?
My name is Keli O'Dell, and I am a machine operator for Outlook Nebraska. I run what we call the Highlander machine, where it produces a multitude of products of toilet paper and paper towels of various sizes and lengths.
And how long have you been part of the Outlook team, Keli?
I have been part of the Outlook team for 6 years now, actually going on 7, because came in 2018 and now 2025, so 7. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. What brought you to Outlook Nebraska?
A friend of mine who had vision troubles of his own was working over here at the time, and he knew that I had had vision troubles all my life, and suggested maybe trying coming over here and working. And so I applied and got on, and have liked it ever since.
What do you like most about working here?
I like just the teamwork, the friendliness of everybody that's here. Everybody wants to try to help each other, the best they can.
All that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How has Outlook helped you grow both personally and professionally?
Professionally, it has helped me to be a better organizer and be a leader, to help get other people set up on, like when I have to help other people get set up on the line, make sure they're ready to do their job and know how to do their job. So I've had to learn how to kind of take a leading role. Personally, just has always kind of given me something to get up in the morning and strive for, and where I can get up and have something to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's always important.
Yeah.
What's a moment or memory at Outlook that maybe has really stuck with you over the years?
I would say when I won the 2022 national, or was nominated for the 2022 National Peter J. Salmon Award, and I got to go to Washington, D.C. for a week and attend all their seminars and workshops and hear what other blind people do and what, how they get around and what their livelihood's like. So that was a kind of a neat thing to go and network with up there.
Can you share a little bit about your vision loss journey?
I was born with cataracts on my eyes, so I've had bad vision when they removed the cataracts. It just distorted my lenses from what I was told. So I've had low vision my whole life, and just having to figure out how to do things differently when, other people want to just use, they use their sight to go find things, look for things. I've had to more of feel around or remember where I put things, and kind of like and I always have like a routine. Growing up and going through school, definitely I had to pay attention a little bit more because you couldn't see the chalkboards, and it's kind of different in life because my books would always be bigger and have large print and everything, so you kind of felt weird and different from the kids. And some understood, some don't. It's kind of like life, but
sure,
you're having to deal with that and talk with people about that, and that you're just trying to be like everybody else. But as I grew up, vision changes, gets better, gets worse from times. So I've kind of been on both sides of it.
But you do have some working vision.
Yes, I do. I still do have some working vision where I can get around and function, quickly. But there are times where it just, like if shadows and changing in light and stuff, it just catches me, and then I have to stop and take a little more time to be cautious of what I'm doing and where I'm going, and just take it a little slower.
Yeah, that's important. What has been one of the biggest challenges that you've had to face, and how did you overcome it? So what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to face with your vision loss, and how did you work to overcome that?
I think the challenge that has come to me now as my vision is starting to get worse is learning how to get familiar with technology, using voiceover on your cell phones or the adaptive synthesized speech on the computers, just taking that time and having to be patient and listen and learning all the little keys and functions to do it, where you just couldn't look at the screen anymore and point and click.
Yeah.
It's just cumbersome.
That is a major, major change.
Yes.
As people lose their vision, they have to learn to do other ways
Yeah.
ways of doing things. That's true. And in fact, that leads to this next question. Are there any tools, skills, or strategy that you've employed that have been especially helpful to you, that sort of thing?
I have used my iPhone, which is what I use a lot, to using the functions with the apps like Seeing AI, or even just the functions of the iPhone itself to read mail, to take a document and read what's out in front of you, or using it to tell me like what's in the room if it's a dark room. It even in the dark room, it can tell me like where things are, where the door is, and help me find my way around a little bit better.
So besides any visual cues that you get, you are starting to home in a little bit more on voiceover, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What does it mean to you to be a role model for others in the blind and visually impaired community, which by working here, would pretty much be the case?
It's important for me to realize that when people look at me as a blind person, I might be the only blind person they see in the world, or maybe in their life, or for a while. But when they see me, they're going to sit down there and base their perception of a blind person off of what they see me do. So I had to make sure and have to feel confident about how I'm going about my business, and showing them that I'm a confident person and can function in the world just like anybody else, and talk to them if they have any questions or concerns.
That's an
And just
awesome
reassure
answer.
them, yeah.
That's an awesome answer, actually.
Yeah.
How do you think that Outlook is making a difference in the lives of others with any kind of vision loss?
I feel that Outlook is actually making a difference in giving people their little more hope that as they lose their vision, they can still continue on in their life and continue on in their daily activities and try to feel normal, as normal as I guess as normal as you can, around other people, and just be able to I guess have a happy life.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What is a hobby or activity that you love doing in your free time?
I guess I got started getting into golf,
Uh-huh.
so that's a little hobby.
So you're
Yes.
probably worked up about the golf
Yes.
simulator we have.
Oh
here.
yes.
Awesome. Well, that's certainly something to do in your off time. You can't do that out on the floor, so yeah, that works. That definitely works. What advice would you give to someone who's just beginning to lose their vision?
Just tell them not to be too worried and not to be too anxious. Start looking into services that for the blind and for the visually impaired, such as Outlook, and see the resources out there for you, and just start making a plan and get prepared, because your vision's going to change. So if you have a plan in place and you start learning skills now, when that does come, it'll just feel like normal. You'll just be, carry on with your life as you transition into the non-visual world.
Anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners, either about your journey with us or about Outlook itself?
I would just say, just get out in the community and just show people that you're comfortable out there and you want to be participated in the world just like everybody else, and be like everybody else.
What gives you hope for the future for yourself and for the blind and visually impaired community?
I like the idea that the technology keeps getting better to help me aid because I know that one day I won't have vision at all, and having technology that might be able to describe what's in front of me, allowing me to continue to be independent, is going to be a good thing. And then, just having friends and family around that share the same goals with you, they'll help you retain your independence.
It's certainly getting easier, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Technology is really paving the way for a lot of new things we never even imagined 5 years ago. Keli, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us today. We definitely appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, folks, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this edition of Outlook on Air, but we certainly hope you've enjoyed the program. We hope to see you back here again for another edition of Outlook on Air. And if you'd like more information about Outlook Enrichment, or anything Outlook for that matter, make sure you visit our website at www.outlooken.org. That's www.outlooken.org. Or you can always call us for more information or to schedule any kind of an appointment at area code 531-365-5051. That's area code 531-365-5051. And don't forget to subscribe to our monthly newsletter so that you can find out when the next podcast is available. And we hope to see you then on the next edition of Outlook on Air.